We are Go Fly.
Chris just made a mystery box.
Chris just got rid of the mystery box, he said.
Okay, we are on. Happy Friday, everybody. We're almost done with February here, thankfully. And I heard robins singing this morning when I was out walking my dog. So there's a little bit of hope here. So I thought what we do today, we have a few things that I want to catch up on what's going on with some projects. A couple of them are peering off a little farther into the future than normal. And then we'll also see what Logan's working on behind the corner there. So I think we're going to start right over here to my right with Dylan, and he's been cutting and gluing all kinds of stuff.
Yes. So currently I'm working on 250. So like Phil said, working a little bit in the future, which is always nice. I've spent probably the last day and a half gluing up the legs for Nicholson style workbench. So the kind of idea behind this, other than the Nicholson style, was to be able to use affordable materials that are accessible kind of outside of your traditional lumber yard. So what we've got here for legs are well, I end up using 4/4 southern yellow pine. You can order these or go buy these at your kind of local home shop. They come in 6, 8, 10, and I believe 12-inch widths. The lengths I'm sure vary on the store. I think these were 12-footers at the time, but they are square stock legs, so they're dimensioned down to 4.5 by 4.5. Again, it was a little laborious getting these to this stage here. You'll also notice in the back we started with some joinery for the stretchers. There's 2 shorter stretchers that connect the legs, and then there are these larger pieces. We've got some planks, some nice 8/4 European beech for our top, and then we'll have an apron that runs on either side. I think I've got a small kind of rendering here of what ultimately it's going to look like.
So this is more of an English joiner style workbench?
Yes, so definitely relying on a lot of mass and really the construction of it to kind of beef it up and give its rigidity. So we don't want this thing walking across the floor. So again, I think the emphasis behind this is more of a, I guess, hand tool oriented workbench.
Sure.
Not to say you can't use it for other things, but again, mass is the name of the game for this. So.
But it's not like we're gluing up a super thick, super large top either. It's just the legs.
True. That's a good point. So the interesting thing about these is, again, like Phil mentioned, you're not using or relying on a really thick top, which most people don't have access to, or face laminating a bunch of pieces together to create your top. And the cool thing about this, again, is it's just 3 boards that are 1 3/4 that are going to be, a lot of the old ones are nailed. We'll probably use screws for the sake of ours, just to kind of, again, ensure that the top isn't going to work over time. We will end up joining the top once it's all constructed to make sure we have a nice flat, true surface. So
sure. So, and you said 4/4 stock to glue this up, but somebody gets a hold of thicker southern yellow pine, they can totally use that.
Absolutely. I mean, I would almost encourage that. In hindsight, I wish I would have done it myself. But again, we like to think about our readers. So
when you're just using the material that you have.
True.
You know, so if you have access to thicker stuff, that's going to make the glue up. It's not like there's anything inherently better about gluing it up with.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So again, just using sources that are available to us. The other kind of cool thing about this, I think we had mentioned it maybe a couple weeks back, is that the vise and the vise shop on here, the threaded part of it, or the screw, is going to be wood that we got from Lake Erie. So I'm really excited to install that once we get the main construction of the base done. So
sure.
Moving along with that, got some other projects that haven't really necessarily been in the fabrication state, but more the design state that we'll probably touch up on next week. So that's what I have going on in the shop right now.
Okay, so we're going to move from an English workbench to an Englishman at a workbench and see what Mark's been doing over on his bookcase.
Hey everyone, progress on the waterfall bookcase. As you can see, it's all clamped up, just finished gluing it up, gluing the sides to the shelves. You can focus in on the detail on this bookcase. You see how the edge is beaded. So to achieve that, first of all, we cut the size to this full-size template that I made last week, and then left the template on there, then used the template to guide the bearing. to be able to cut this beaded detail on the edge of the board
With this bit.
with that router bit.
So the question that everybody's going to ask is, were you singing the Michael Jackson song while you were doing this?
Is it the Michael Jackson hit?
Really?
It did?
No,
Oh,
beat
beat
it.
it.
Yeah.
No, I went for you guys to sing it. So after this was all done, the coolest detail on this project was this string inlay part. Now, I've never had much experience with doing this before, so it's kind of a learning curve. So to achieve this, I know there's a few tools out there on the market that you can use to scribe the edges, then groove out the remaining waste on the piece, or you can use a router. My problem was how I'm going to get this tight radius on these corners. And I know they make a compass that you can do that, but I didn't have that to hand, so I had to come up with another idea. So I ended up making a full-size jig pattern for this. So that area here had a guide bushing, a 5/8 guide bushing, along with a 1/8 inch router bit to cut that 1/8 inch groove. So that was pretty handy on the straight, and then keeping it tight on these radiuses to get that nice curve.
I like how you did with on the template there. I don't know if people can see it, but instead of trying to cut that all out, you just cut, like, this is a strip, this is a strip,
Yeah.
here's a narrow piece. So it's not like you had to try and pierce this all out of a single piece of plywood.
Right, yeah. It was a lot of piecing together, a lot of figuring out, because obviously the radius changes a little bit when you put a guide bushing in there from the original radius that you're given for the actual 1/8 inch groove. So a bit of head scratching, a bit of figuring out, but I think I've got it. So the next part of that was to actually put the inlay pieces in the groove. So I cut a lot of strips of 1/8 inch by 1/8 inch walnut. So I've got a ton of strips, let it soak for about an hour. And then once that's all soaked for a little while, Steve came up with a great idea of using a heat gun to be able to bend these strips around, which, as you can see there, worked absolutely awesome. So now I've got my radius pieces that I can cut to size and fit in these small spaces. So yeah, that worked pretty good. So that's what I've got going on. Hopefully next week have it all put together and all stained up.
So next steps on here are top and back.
Yep, I've got a top to go on, a back to go on, I've got the drawers to do. There's going to be another inlay section for the
on the drawers. I
for
forgot
the
about the
front
drawers,
of the drawers, so I've got that to do with this again.
What's the back going to be?
The back is just
Is it plywood or?
plywood. It's 1/2 inch plywood, or in this case 2 pieces of 1/4 inch glued up.
Okay,
So
nice.
then
I
what
can't
else
wait to
is
see
there?
it upright on its feet, because it
I
always
know,
takes,
I know.
it has a different shape and scale to it when it's sitting on your bench, and then all of a
Right.
sudden you get it upright and it's like, oh,
Yeah,
that's not bad at
I'm
all.
excited to get it around the right way it's supposed to. So
Okay.
yeah, that's what I've got going on. So check back in next week and it'll be hopefully finished.
Okay, now one of the new things that we're working on here at Woodsmith is, we've been able to give you kind of a sneak peek of what's been going on here in the shop weekly, or as often as we can weekly, with these Facebook Lives. And we know we get quite a few people who come in on tours. So if you're ever passing through the Des Moines area, send us an email and we'd be happy to set you up on a tour. You can see behind the scenes of what's going on here with the production shop. You'll be able to see our photo studio, the set where we produce Woodsmith Shop, and kind of get an idea of what it takes to produce a magazine and all the other content that we're doing. Like I said, one of those new things is to get people here in addition to the tours. So this year we're offering 6 in-person classes right here in the shop. So if you see these benches that we've been working on and got projects going on, you could take your turn at one of these benches building a project from Woodsmith Magazine. Our first class that we're doing is focusing on this particular project that was from a couple of years ago now. It's an auxiliary bench vise. And John's a little snagged here, otherwise he'd zoom in a little closer.
I got you, John.
No worries.
No, we're good.
Mark's got it.
So anyway, we did featured this vise, which I found in my own shop as having an extra vise that's a little bit higher, a little bit smaller, really comes in handy for a lot of operations. So the designer of the project is our very own Chris Fitch. And he's also going to be the teacher of the class. And this is going to be the first full weekend in March. So we're looking at
7th and 8th.
7th and 8th, I believe. And it'll be Saturday and Sunday, all day, both classes. And the idea is to build your own vise, just like this one. Class sizes are small so that we can give you the personal attention that you need and be able to have the space here. So Chris, would you mind telling us a little bit more about the vise? And what are we hoping to do in the class?
Well, I think the class is going to be great. Well, as Phil said, we have a small class size. You're going to be right here in the Woodsmith workshop. Now this vise is actually patterned off an English wood carving vise. So you can see we have a very English theme going on today. It shows a little use, and that's because it's been in my shop for a couple of years, and I have loved this thing. It is heavy, it's solid, and wow, can it clamp a lot of different projects. Having your workpiece above your bench is really wonderful for cutting joinery when you have rasp work to do. I do a lot of wood carving, so this is a wood carving vise and I use it. The vise itself has a couple great features which you're going to learn about if you're here. One is, look at these big dovetails on the front. These are bandsaw cut dovetails, and it's really exciting to be able to cut such heavy, thick stock. Our vise itself is made out of beech, and it's got a very pleasing look to it, and it's a joy to work. So you'll be cutting these big dovetails and doing a variety of machining operations in the wood. You're also going to get to do a little bit of metal work. So these side plates, we'll be cutting those out, doing all the drilling in the rails. And this bench screw here, this vise screw, that is shop made, and you're going to be making that. The handle, the hub, the whole works. So there's a lot to learn, a lot to do, and you're going to get to go home with a fabulous vise, which I think you'll really enjoy. So if you would like this, think about joining us in Des Moines, March 7th and 8th for the Woodsmith shop class, building a vise.
Yeah, what I like about that one is got the Acme screw on the inside. We did a previous one where we used just regular all thread.
Yeah, and that was a great vise, it really was. But the Acme thread, that's where it's at. It's fast and it's bull strong.
Yeah.
You know what I don't like? Is how Chris can just wheel that off the top of his head like that. I hate him.
Everyone hates Chris.
So we have space for 10 students. We have 6 people signed up already. It would be really great if we could get those last 4 spots in. It's kind of like your NPR telethon going on right now. Go to woodsmithshop.com/weekend and you can see and sign up for not only this class, but the other 5 that we have going on. Logan's teaching one, I'll be teaching one. Pretty sure Mark is going to be teaching one.
John is teaching one.
John is teaching one. If you want to get to know, Dylan is teaching another one. All the people that you see here on a usual Friday, the usual suspects, so to speak, are going to be here. You'll get to kind of pick our brains and see how it is we build projects. There's a lot of personality in building a project, even though it's woodworking. So sign up for those. And I think now we're going to transition over to what Logan's got going on over there.
Yes. Step into my office. So I have a couple things going on. Obviously, first, I'm assembling a router table. So this came in this week. This is from Infinity Tools, infinitytools.com, product placement. This is their new router table. It is heavy. Started with the heaviest box up here. That's the best. Let's start with the heavy, right? Start with the heavy thing first. So I'm working on the base. I am going to be doing a tool review of this router table system in Popular Woodworking. So check that out. That will be, I believe, the July-August issue or June-July issue of Popular Woodworking. So I'm excited to get it together. It's a pretty cool system. Comes with the base that is super heavy. Comes with top fence. There's optional wings that I have for it. And it also comes with a Triton router, a Triton 3, think 3.5 horse.
Oh, yeah.
It's a big one. So it'll be interesting to give that a go and see how it performs. We'll put it through its paces. Maybe we'll shoot some video on it as well. So we'll see. Other than that, why don't you show what you got going on? I'm gonna go grab my bowl that's on the way, spinning right now. So.
All right, so the project that I've been working on is something that's kind of a sort of family heirloom. We've always called it the Grandma Huber cabinet, and it was a small cabinet that hung out on the, most recently in the sun porch of Grandma's place, and was filled with back issues of National Geographics from like the 1960s. So what I discovered after I kind of inherited it was that it was an old radio cabinet that one of my uncles had pulled the guts out of, added a shelf, and then flipped it around. So this grill work was now in the back and had some wood grain contact paper over both faces. So to me, it always looked like it was just plywood in the back, because I never really gave it much thought, and it was always mostly obscured by National Geographics. But after I saw this, I was thinking that there's got to be a way to kind of jazz this up a little bit, recall some of its first use on it. So I've disassembled it. Most of the pieces are over there behind Logan. And what I'm thinking is that I'm going to veneer this grill work with some, can you hold that for a second?
Sure.
Vanna.
Sure. I've never been called Vanna White in my life.
Yeah, well, first time for everything. So I have some walnut burl veneer.
Beef jerky.
Yeah, walnut beef jerky that I'm gonna put over the top of that. And then I think I'm gonna slice this down the middle and have 2 doors, and then have the bookcase on the back side of it. So I think it'll be kind of a fun.
So are you going to, this is gonna become the door then, right?
This will be the door. I'll veneer the front face, trim it all flush, and then, because this is only a 1/4 inch thick, I think I'm gonna laminate another piece of 1/4 inch plywood behind it. Sure. So then I have 1/2 inch thick doors.
I was wondering if you did glass. That might be kind of cool. Glass behind it?
No,
You know?
I
I don't know. Just a thought.
These are all
Veneered
questions.
glass.
Huh?
Veneered glass.
Veneered
Veneered
glass.
glass,
yes.
yeah.
It's like Venetian glass, but cheaper.
Right, yeah. I think that's what Venetian means, is
Veneered. Oh,
Right.
there it is.
Probably. I mean, it could be. Who knows?
Who knows? We don't know.
Really, yeah. So anyway, that's what I've been working on. And then the other pieces I'm gonna sand and refinish just a little bit, just to freshen up the look of it. It's seen some use over the years and just needs to be dressed up a little bit. So
Yeah.
hopefully I'll have a little bit more progress on that. And then you've been turning
I have
still.
been doing a lot of turning. So I've been having a lot of fun turning. I had some walnut blanks in here there's more blanks in there now, but I had some walnut blanks in there and I had green turned them. So I just finished this little bowl, and I was messing around with some copper leafing on the inside, and then I patinaed it. So it's been kind of a fun little experiment to get a different look. And the one thing about this is it has a big crack right there. So I decided it would be a great idea to order a bunch of colored powder. This is just mica pearl powder. And I'm going to see what I can do to get some of that powder. I'm thinking maybe I'll do like a copper and teal.
Sure.
So it'll kind of look like a copper vein in there, and I'll seal it in with some CA glue, then sand it back down, and hopefully it looks cool. If it doesn't, I learned something.
Right.
If it looks cool, I still learned something.
Yeah.
So,
Doesn't work out, you just turn another bowl.
yeah, I'm going to do that anyways.
Right.
So, at some point. So, yeah, that's what I have.
Okay, so that's pretty much it. John, you got anything?
Weather vane.
The weather
Where's
vane.
the weather vane?
It's out in the public station.
Let's go that way.
Okay.
Field trip. Everybody
Yeah,
sign your
Steve's
permission
over there,
slip.
so Steve can talk about it. He's cornered. He is cornered. We didn't do it live last week, did we?
No.
Oh, we have to look at the weather vane.
So is Steve out there then?
Yep.
All right.
I'm not gonna.
Oh, are you?
Somebody's wrangling the cord.
Yep, Mark's got you. Yep, we're good. We need a spring for that wireless camera system.
Yeah.
So Steve, you've been working on this guy. So this is for issue 249
49.
coming
Weather
up.
vane.
Yep. So this is kind of one of our would you call this one of our more abstract projects?
Yeah, fun.
It's artsy, it's fun. It's along the same lines as the fish whirly
The
gig.
fish whirly gig, yeah.
This is, I mean, obviously we can tell that Chris designed this. So
Chris designed
yeah, so this is a cool project that'll be coming up at 249. So Steve has been for the last week or so making all this.
We made the base.
Made the base,
Top cap. Logan turned
the sphere.
the sphere for me. Chris
Yep.
did the CNC of the directional letters and the numbers and the 2 stars. And then the ball, the arrow, the crescent is all made out of mahogany. And it's kind of 2 layers built up. We put a groove in here for these rods for the stars, and did a little bit of soldering of the brass, and some peening of the put little rivets in.
You know what's fun about this? I mean, even though it is kind of a artsy, fun project, it works perfectly. Like, you could put this on top of your barn if you had a barn.
Sure, yeah.
You know, I mean, there's set screws to change the directions, so you can get it set in the direction you want, and then it would work as a weather vane. Like, how awesome is that? That's
pretty
super
cool.
cool.
Yeah.
So this will,
You could just forego the base and
Yeah.
make a different one for your apex of your roof.
yeah,
And
but
mount
you
it.
know, it looks great. This is a fun project.
We do a lot of metal work in this. We even had to make our own bracket.
Yep.
Flat stock, so.
Yep, and then
And
it's
this
just a
top
set
here,
power.
we had to cut and hollow out and
Yep.
tap. And all these rods I would heat up with mat gas and
Bend 'em.
and anneal.
Oh,
to
sure.
soften them
Yep.
so I could bend them.
Yep. So,
Some different techniques there that
Yeah.
were kind of fun, not just woodworking.
yeah, no, that's super cool. So I think it looks
5 paint colors, 2 different grays, red, white.
Yep. So looks awesome.
All right. So I think that's it now.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just had a seminar yesterday.
Yep. So we have one coming up next month.
Yep.
In March, the seminar is going to be Mark Hopkins on top router jigs. So you want to sign up for that over at woodsmithshop.com/seminars. So otherwise, everybody have a great weekend, and we look forward to seeing what's going on in your shop.